I've given them till quarter two, just to make sure.
Yeah, we're good, we're good.
We're good, it's now quarter two. We'll call the March meeting to order. Larry and I spent the morning down at Batavia today with the state legislative action committee. Basically, most of the time was spent explaining why we need to do this, you know, all the reasons why. Very little time explaining what they want us to do.
This is the State Legislative Action Committee of...
It's the state committee, the legislative committee for the state group.
State group.
Okay.
Which we are a chapter.
The IVIP state, yeah.
Yeah, they have their own committees, just like we're trying to have our own committees at some point. And Larry Quick was the one that came out in January. He did the same thing there. They had some new handouts that we brought in. Do you want to pass out the folded up one? Because we have PDFs of this, and I haven't sent it out to the membership yet. You've got one already. Oh, she's going to send us this so we can actually type in the reps' names.
Oh, okay.
All right. I already have the PDFs on this. One is for the state rep, one is for the House. There's two different ones.
Yeah, we don't steal it.
She's going to be sending me the file on that so we could actually type in our reps' names at the top. The reason I didn't send this out
Oh, you got stack.
I have a stack, yeah.
is I believe most of us on the back here, under protect your vote,
Just say close with that, it's fine.
On which back? I've got the back.
Oh, this here?
our group believes that you vote any which way you want to. Early, mail-in, election day. Very first thing they say here is avoid early voting on the touchscreen voting machines. I half agree with that with our new machines. Something I've learned over the last month is that, yes, it prints the name of who you picked, but right underneath it, it puts a barcode that you cannot read, and that could be hacked. So you might be thinking that you're voting for Bernie, and they put Trump in the barcode. That's how the worm gets in there and attacks it.
But the thing about that aspect of hacking, by law, we're supposed to be able to verify that my vote was
Right.
recorded properly. But if they're not, so if I hand fill out a ballot and throw it through the scanner scans the ballot, not a barcode. When this one goes through the same scanner, it scans the barcode, not the ballot.
And there's one.
So if the law states that we are supposed to be able to visually verify our vote on our ballot, that doesn't qualify.
Well,
Because it's not counting what I'm looking at.
like you heard today, this morning, they had federal and state money. And basically, they don't have any choice on what equipment they can get. This is what the manufacturers are offering us as the updated stuff. And not just us, all the states. And a lot of them did not get the federal approval before our money would have expired, so they bought what they could, whether it was approved by the feds or not. One thing that Mike Toller and I talked about, and Dr. Laura Chamberlain from the Clean Cook County and I have been in contact. She reached out to me. She wants us to work with them. And we were discussing this whole thing. We're trying to find out what barcode language that is. And we thought maybe we'd be able to download it to our smartphones.
And we will
Read it.
Point
read
point
it.
of information,
Huh?
how many different barcode languages are there?
When I was in
Hundreds of
shipping and receiving, about 4 or 5 that we could use.
Well, that's what I'm saying, you gotta find out which one they're using.
Yeah,
That's the only way you're gonna be able to do it.
yeah, there's not one generic barcode reader. In fact, there's the
Okay.
Unicode readers for the straight lines, and then there's the
QR
square
code.
QR code.
yeah.
Here's a stupid question.
No stupid
If I
questions.
am trying to verify my ballot, I don't give a rat's ass what language that barcode's in, because I can't read it no matter what language you put it in. So is our strategy to argue about the barcode languages or to somehow convince an attorney to file a suit saying that doesn't comply with the law? Just saying.
Cook County is already going down that road.
Well, then the answer is that's,
They're gonna
What
try,
we need to
they're
do.
holding off until they can,
well,
well,
what advantage do we have to find out what that barcode language is? I mean, what can we do as an organization to, how does that give us something?
I was gonna
I
say,
don't know.
Well, plus the other thing too,
okay,
you gotta
let
remember
me
is even if
finish
you
going where I was going here, folks.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Before I get interrupted again. So basically, Dr. Laura asked, what language is it? Can we find an app to download on the smartphones? And then I mentioned, why can't we have a standalone scanner display, like when you're in the grocery store and you want to do a price check on something, you walk over to the column and you scan your thing and it tells you all about it.
Yes.
I haven't had a chance to reach
I
out
don't see that happening.
to the manufacturer to find out if they even make one of those yet. I did reach out to Mike Toller, who said he didn't know what language it is, for one. For two, even if we get a display unit that could read it, he believes that barcode is just a numeric code anyway.
The reader can change
Meaning-
2 different ways.
Your precinct is a number,
You
so
can
it
look
won't
off the
print,
screen and go, oh, that's what I
because
voted
each
for.
one of those barcodes is gonna have what ballot it is.
Sorry.
I was just
You got
explaining
us
how
off
the
on
barcode thing's
on
gonna
the
be read off.
barcode reader, sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was just explaining. But Mike Toller said that he believed it's a numeric code anyway. So each one of those barcodes is gonna have to have what ballot it is, meaning what precinct it's for. And it's gonna be a numeric number, it's not gonna be, so you're gonna have to have a table. Say Hebron 1 is 150. You're gonna have to have a table, look at 150 and say, oh, this is Hebron 1, so it's my ballot.
Right.
Then it's gonna have what race it is another number.
Mhm.
And then another number for which candidate you picked.
Right,
So you're gonna have tables,
right.
because the thought was we'd have one of these scanners right next to where you put your ballot in to be counted.
It's not
So you could walk over there, feed it through and look at the display and say yes, 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 and then stick it over into the counter. But then now you're gonna have to have these tables listed, and it's gonna take a lot longer because the display will only come up with the numbers, it won't convert the numbers to words for you.
Or you just have it read the face.
I was gonna say, so shouldn't we be promoting OCR?
That's what
Yeah.
I was asking. Eric, you were in the service. The last time I used OCR was in the 90s. They stopped doing that once the terminals were started to be set up on the bases.
But you're using it for the other ballot.
No. The other ballot, they're looking for just the dot. And they know what place that dot is. The colored dot that you fill in,
Yeah, that's
they
all.
can tell,
The old ones were just like Scantrons.
yeah.
So that, oh, geez, okay.
You get what I'm saying? It knows, it's like the old test things in school, you know?
Right.
The A, B, C, D, E.
The
you fill
machine-
in.
Yeah, the machine knows what that means.
Yeah.
Right, and
So if they're gonna have these self-marking ones, then they should make it look like the hand ballots.
Exactly. And then
And
they
put the
should
little
read that
dot.
little dot, and that's
And
it.
that's it. So that's the other question is, will the manufacturer, well, you heard them today too, that these manufacturers are calling this all proprietary, and they are not gonna let anybody know how the equipment works or how the software works.
Yeah,
Or what language the barcode is.
because they absolutely don't
Yeah,
want you to know.
They don't want you to know because,
They can't cheat otherwise.
what was it, AIS or whatever they were saying?
Did the same thing.
It was funny, the guy that owned the major stock in the company above AIS, which is the manufacturers, ran for office and won.
Well, yeah, well, he was the CEO, and he stepped back from that, but he still owned all the stock.
Yeah.
So he still owned the company. And so miraculously, when he ran in an election, and they used those machines that he produced, he won.
Which isn't to say he wouldn't have won anyway. But
Well,
Yeah, right.
other than the fact that it broke all sorts of historical tradition in the state.
The optics, the optics in that are pretty bad, yeah.
Yeah.
Other than
The ethics
that little
office is
flag.
shaking their head.
Yeah.
I can't believe this happened.
Plus
Well, it's like the governor of
the
Georgia.
polls before
For
the
governor,
election,
secretary of
and
state,
the
you
exit
run the
polls
elections.
after,
Yeah.
were all in favor of his opponent.
Right,
So you got two sets of polls
right.
telling you that the other guy is gonna win, and miraculously, he wins.
Yeah, there's a lot of that been going around. anyway.
Yeah.
Well, and it's
But-
a matter of perception, and it's a matter of having confidence in your system.
No, I'm not arguing.
No.
But all of
Oh, gosh, you won't.
all these things do is reinforce our point. We need to have a physical count of sampling the day of the elections
We
to
need-
alert us to any variation beyond the standard deviation. I'm acquiescing to your term. So,
There you go.
but yeah,
That was something else that Dr. Laura and I were talking about is what should be an acceptable deviation? And they're pushing for 1%.
who's they? The state?
No, Dr. Laura is saying 1%. If it's 1%, we got a problem.
Now, who is Dr. Laura, or who
She's-
is not a psychologist?
She's Clean Cook County, which is another integrity ballot group
Oh, okay.
that's reached out to us.
Okay,
as
yeah,
partners.
okay, I
I
heard her on the
have a
radio,
question,
that's
on
right.
what level,
Laura Chamberlain.
on what level is that acceptable? Are we talking statewide,
That's-
countywide?
Well, yeah, that's where you get into, where are you gonna?
What's the sample
Cut the
size of the
1%?
1%
Right.
you're saying?
I mean, you got a 1%, you got a 4% off in one city,
So-
then what?
I mean, we go to my Seneca precinct, and that's 1%'s a big deal.
Well, yeah, it's
You know, that does, to me, that
Okay,
doesn't
well-
seem acceptable.
No, you go to Chicago and a 1% is a huge deal.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what's
Riley, you're
What's the
talking
impact
1%.
of 1%?
Huh?
What is the impact on what we're trying to do?
Depends
Depends on population.
Depends on the margin.
Population size, or sample size.
Well, it depends on the margin in the race.
Yeah,
So if
I
you're
get all
talking-
that.
If
Is
you're
that
talking
going
one
to be
precinct
more
that's
restrictive?
400,
Is that going to raise more red flags or less red flags if you said 1%?
more. It's a tighter,
Okay, so it's much tighter,
yes.
so it's not really an argument against it.
No,
Okay.
no, they definitely want the audit.
I don't see a problem with going tighter, because when you're negotiating with the legislatures, you can always ease up here and come up with a
Always
compromise
ask
that
for the
still
moon.
works.
Right.
Ask for the moon and see
See,
what you get.
1%, and then you go standard deviation, and it all works,
You
right?
guys know I got 30 years of quality control.
Right.
And no matter how good of a inspection plan or process or procedure you write, how great it looks, unless you can get the people that are going to have to do it to bite off on it, you know what you can do with it. It ain't gonna happen. So having said that, and having found out that our state rep, IBIP reps are only reaching out to the legislators and not to the election judges or the county clerks that are gonna have to deal with this, or our different political parties who they are going to be counting on for poll watchers to make sure these audits are done. think our own Kathy here will tell you, we're lucky to get, what, a dozen, 2 dozen poll watchers? 100 is going to be insane to be at every one of these precinct polling places to watch the audit at the end of the day. So Dr. Chamberlain and I were talking about this too, is there's 28 collection points in the city of Chicago, 17 in suburban Cook County. And the rest of us have one collection place, the county clerk's office, and we already have our Democratic Party chair sitting there watching them when they bring all the stuff in, right? For the most part.
All right.
The last couple of elections I've watched her,
Well, yeah,
she's sitting there to make sure that when
Or-
the stuff,
whoever got delegated to do it.
right, so we always have somebody.
Yeah,
It'd be a lot easier to do your 10% as they're bringing the stuff in, because I've reached out to the county clerks that I could find emails, and they've responded back. And their big complaint with the whole thing is, I don't have enough election judges now to do the split shift or bring in tally judges at the end of the night. So now you're going to make my people have to stick around for another 2-3 hours and delay the results. Okay? So Dr. Chamberlain and I talked about it, and we're like, we should modify it that it's not done at the polling place. You wait till the ballots come in. You need less election judges, you need less poll watchers. The results can still go out, you know, because no matter what we do that night with that audit, there isn't going to be another count right then and there to change the numbers. It's going to be done by an outside auditing that we're asking for anyway. Okay? Or they're going to have to do the hand count or whatever.
Wait.
But that's the other thing
Okay.
that this bill doesn't have. It's got no teeth. It doesn't tell you what is an acceptable deviation. It doesn't tell you what to do if there's a deviation. All you're doing is collecting the data and putting it into a report. And we all know what happens with government when you hand them a report. It goes in a drawer and you never see it again.
So why don't we come up with an addition to these bills?
I have been asked to be part of an amendment team from Dr. Chamberlain and some others
Amendment team.
to write amendments to these 2 bills to cover
So
these
when
things.
it's being considered, not after it's passed.
They're dead.
Yeah, they haven't even moved from committee for that.
They haven't even had
2
one
months.
reading yet.
Yeah, I get that.
And they got till the end of May to get through their 3rd reading. It ain't gonna happen. They don't even have hearings set for these yet in the committees. That was something else that I was gonna have our vice chair show you with these witness slips.
Yeah, but
You
have to
cannot
have a
do a
hearing
witness
to do
slip
that.
unless there's a hearing set. So if there's no hearing set, you can't even write a witness slip. The best you can do is make the phone call, send the postcards, write the letters. Until there's a hearing set. Then you can start doing these witness slips. And there's ways of finding that, and I was going to let him take care of that. What else would you, what was else on your view on what happened this morning? Besides Larry getting very protective of his bills.
Yeah, he's totally focused on one solution.
Yeah.
And as we discussed, we were talking about, well, we all know and recognize that it's way too costly to expect an audit team to come into all the precincts. They're just not gonna, especially in the state of Illinois, where we're broke. So, I think we need to influence the state focus, because we talked about doing a sampling, and I think doing it at the collection points is a great way to do it. Because you can pull the precinct, you can have a random selection of precincts, and when they come in, you say, okay, you have to come over here, and we're gonna do the audit, and then throw it in the
That's what I was just thinking.
Right.
And the other goofy thing that I've been getting feedback from county clerks and election judges is to figure out where you start in the pile. 10 specially made numbered discs that you put into a jar, you pull it out, and whatever that number is, that's the number you start. So if you pull out a 7, you count 7 ballots off the top, or a number. Before you even get to there, they want you to number stamp
Right.
every ballot.
I think there's a problem just with that whole concept of marking the ballots.
No, not after collection.
Not
Because
after
you have,
collection.
you have no way of being able to,
No, you can't.
Recognize
Yeah,
who that
that,
is.
that we're safe on, but the amount of time, especially, okay, that was the other thing. How much are these stampers, if you're gonna get an automatic indexing one,
You're
cost?
not talking that much when you're talking, what, 28, 17, and we've
No, no.
got one?
The stamper itself,
I know.
the automatic indexing ones. Now I gotta buy 100 because I got 100 polling places.
I know. No, not 100 polling places. We're talking about
Under
if
the
we do it
current,
right.
under the current, this
I
is
get
what I'm
it.
saying. We're talking about the current bill,
We
the
have
way
to
it
come up
stands.
with our own concept here.
right, that
Okay.
would be what would be going into an amendment.
Right.
But the way the
Right.
bill
I
sits
have
now.
no qualm with, anybody here ever played D&D? I think you have. So, and you have. So we all know they make 10-sided dice, don't they? And we don't have to have special discs made. Okay? We could go online and buy the damn things in bulk if we needed to. A lot cheaper than we can have the sets made. Or we could go right up to Gary Gygax's old place and
Sorry.
pick them up right there in Lake Geneva, okay? So,
And write it on 10 pieces of paper.
Paper,
too.
pull it up.
Right, yeah, I was gonna say. I
That's
could write
not
a
an
quick-
issue.
Yeah, could write a quick
oh no,
program.
the way the law,
But the way the law
bill is
states.
written,
I
it's
know.
gotta be these special numbered discs you
I know,
put
but
into
we
a
already-
can.
Which
We
means
already
somebody
know
owns
that
that company that got their name.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So they're saying, okay, you're gonna have specially made discs.
Even
Now
this
you're gonna
don't
have a
randomize.
special number stamper. It's gonna take us at least, depending on, now that the law says we can have 4 precincts in every polling place. So you could have a couple thousand ballots. You're gonna have to sit there and number individually. When it's a lot easier to go like this with the ballots. Throw your dice down and say, okay, number 7. Count out 7, okay, pull that 7th one out and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, it'll go faster, it's cheaper.
Could make a card shuffler that counts.
They're crazy. Excuse me, I'm sitting here as one who's been an election judge and a poll
Right.
watcher. And what are these people smoking who are coming up with these laws? I'm sorry. It's not going to happen.
They're trying to legalize that too.
You're expecting this additional work to be put on people who are frazzled from the day already.
We tried to bring that up and what did he say? That's an operational thing we'll have to deal with when it happens.
Yeah, no.
How are you going to deal with it when you have outright rebellion of your election judges?
No, I'm in agreement.
Not
I
even
think
clerks,
what
the
we have to
clerks would
do-
just be sitting back
And
going,
clerks would be like, fuck it.
Well, and that's not gonna be the problem. Your real problem will be recruiting for people for the next election
yeah,
cycle.
that's the second election after that, nobody's gonna wanna do it.
Yeah.
I think we have to come up with our own version.
That's why I'm saying do it at the collection point with
Let's
another,
start
Okay,
from scratch,
thinking of
come up with our own version.
McHenry County
Right.
collection point.
It's
The clerk's
McHenry County office, right?
No, it's not.
Where does it go?
In the township, they're all taken to the township hall. And the results are modemed, are
What do you mean?
electronically conveyed.
Ah,
That night, so unless you're doing it the next day.
So-
so how many polling places are in Nunda? That
wait a
they,
minute. How many
There's
do
like,
that?
Isn't there 3?
there's three
different
other ones
collections?
besides the county.
So
okay,
there's
so that's
only
still a hell of a
3
lot better
places
than
beside-
100.
4 total.
4 total, that collect at some outside source and then send it in. How many do, by 4, how many
Versus 100.
precincts are going into those 4?
It
All of it.
varies.
I would figure.
No, if you got 4 collections, there's only 4, right, you said?
Well, technically, there's 3
So all the
outside collection
polling
parts and 1
locations,
main.
we got 100
Right.
polling locations right now. They feed their stuff into 4
So
collection
like
points.
Algonquin Township would bring it to Algonquin Township, Nunda Township goes to Nunda Township, and there's like 33 precincts. And maybe McHenry goes to McHenry.
Okay, then the rest go
So
to
the
clerk's office.
majority of them do not go to the county building.
Because I know AJ takes Hebron too.
Well, yeah,
And
you're
goes-
out there in the boondocks. The
Go to-
boondocks,
So how
Go to
many,
town.
how many of these collection points are they bringing the actual ballots in the envelope to?
It all ends up in the clerk's office. But that night.
No,
it-
that night.
That night, it ends up in 4 spots.
Okay,
4 spots, so you have 4,
Four.
that's a lot less than 100.
that's what I was just saying. We just got
So
rid
now
of
you've got
96.
4 teams.
4
So you're
teams.
only adding however many people it takes to do the audit in 4 places. So you're not adding 200 people to this system. And that keeps the cost down. and you
$1,000
can
instead of
still-
$100,000.
Right.
So now you can still do the audit. You do it that night, but we need to put in whatever. See, our vision has to be clear to the people we communicate to, and we have to agree on it first. So we wanted something that would be economically feasible, and the only way to do that is cut down the number of people you're having to involve.
And
And those
special
collection points would
equipment
be
you
the
need.
place.
Mhm.
Right. All the costs are reduced by doing it in 4 places or 5, depends on
Or
what.
6, you know, it's
Yeah,
still
whatever it
not
is, it's
the
not 100. It's not 100. So if we do it that way and we come up with the dice or however, that's
The
the
cheapest
least,
way we can do it.
that's the least cost. Most of the cost is in the hours of the people and the
Right.
number of people.
And do we really need to number them? Because that's gonna add at least another half hour to an hour,
That depends
depending on
on-
how many ballots you
You
got
know
to
what
do
that
it.
depends on? That depends on the trust factor of the people that pass the legislation.
I mean, what
If that's
purpose
what it takes
does
to
the numbering,
convince them to do it, I say it's worth it.
what's the purpose of numbering? Besides telling you that if your number is 7, so you want 7, 17, 27, 37,
I don't care
as
which way
opposed
we
to
do it.
counting 1, 2, 3, 4,
You're
5.
not listening to what I'm saying. That could be a backup. If you're down at the legislature and you're trying to lobby these guys to vote for this thing and put this thing in, and they say, oh, I don't like the way your method is
The
to
number.
pull the 10. Well, then you say, well, you know what? We could use this numbering machine. How about that? You use that as a backup negotiating thing to throw it in there to make them feel good about it.
Yeah, to make them think that they're a part of it.
I
No,
don't-
Something about
we
it.
use the hand count of the 10 as our backup to say, okay, you think that's gonna cost us too much, here's the faster, easier way
Oh,
to
no, I
do it.
wouldn't, no, I'd go the opposite, because I'd say, do the dice, just talk about it, but if they're questioning the process, throw the more expensive one in there.
Mhm.
Say, hey, it'll only cost a little bit more, we can number them, and we're all done. We know what we're doing. And there's an argument for it, and the argument for it is if somebody calls into question the audit, you have a backup. Because you record the number, and you've already numbered them, so they're physically
I'm
numbered.
sorry.
You're already calling
I
me.
do not believe you should be putting any additional marks on these ballots or anything once they're cast. I'm sorry, no.
If you're gonna put it in another envelope, yeah, okay, but,
Well,
yeah,
see,
it'd have to be
my
an
idea
audit
would be
envelope,
is
yeah.
here is the ballots we sampled.
Right, that's the
here's
important part.
sample envelope with the report on top of it.
Anyway, but we need to agree on what we want to do, because if they're saying one thing and we're saying something else, and Kane says the third thing, we all have to come together on something.
Right.
And it's, and I think it's gonna have to, I don't see much wiggle room in what they're proposing at the state. You know, it's 10 everywhere or nowhere.
Right.
And that's just, you're not gonna get anything through
That other audit method he mentioned at the end, that was something that Dr. Chamberlain and I were already talking about. I need to do a little bit more study on it to see just how accurate it is. I haven't had a chance since I just talked to her Tuesday on it, and I've been
Right.
swamped all week
My
since
gut
then.
feeling is this ain't going anywhere this year.
Oh, no.
Nobody's
Oh,
gonna-
No,
it's
no, no.
dead.
No, it's dead. It's not
They're
yet.
both dead.
But they'll be coming up again. So
Yeah.
we have to, we're moving from this point, we gotta get to the next point.
Now,
And we're gonna have to agree on an approach.
The other
Is-
thing that
is the
they're
same
complaining
convers-
about is the cost of the outside auditors. You're already making us do a 5% audit after the fact as it is. Now, we gotta pay for that and then pay for this independent audit. If we're gonna do this independent audit, we should have the 5% struck. Why have two different audits going on? If we're already gonna have an independent auditor do it, why do we have to pay the clerk's office to do it again in 5% instead of the 10% we're having the outside auditor do? What good is that extra 5% gonna do?
So then that could be a sales point because you're gonna save the money from that.
Yeah, you can, but yeah, they're bitching that they have to do both according to the law right now too.
So
So-
is the same conversation being held in all the other groups?
I've got a Republican conservative group out of Winnebago that's talking with myself and Dr. Chamberlain. The only other groups is Larry's two friends that he paid to have them vote for him to be the chair. They don't do anything. DuPage County, Melissa, who's the chair of the state group, I think has now got 5 people, but they haven't formally become a chapter. So right now, it's Kane County with Larry and his 2 friends that don't do anything, and it's us. And the League of Women Voters I'm talking with and working with, they're some of the people that have joined our group already. And like I said, I've reached out to the county clerks to get their viewpoint. So I'm trying to work with the folks that are doing this, and then I'm going to work with Dr. Chamberlain and her group to come up with the amendments, and then she wants myself and this group to actually go to the State Board of Elections in Chicago with the amendments and say, get them to back us up.
Okay. I just wondered how much of this, kerfuffle is going on here, another one over there, another one over here. You get together.
Remember when
nobody's speaking the same
When I
language,
first
and you get
reached
together.
out to these folks, there was 6 people statewide.
Yeah.
We are 30,
We're at the beginning.
yeah, we have 19.
That's where we are. We're at the beginning.
You know, and they've been around since 2004 and haven't been able to do anything.
Well, one of the
because
things,
they
though-
don't talk to anybody.
They are, Larry has a lot of the background on what the problems are and examples and all of the, the resources to justify why this is necessary.
He
So,
just doesn't have the,
but he
to go
doesn't have,
forward.
he doesn't have the focus to get it into legislation where you have to come up with some way to make it palatable and make it effective at the same time. So,
this has been basically the same bill since they introduced it back in 2008, was it?
yeah, something like that.
Well,
And
it's
it's not
very
gonna
few
go
little
anywhere
tweaks
in
or
its current
changes.
form. So we have to make it where the clerks, you might get a certain percentage of the clerks backing it and
The
other
election
groups
judges,
backing
So it's essentially to require audits, election day audits.
it. An
right?
That's not
election
the
day
only one.
audit,
election day audit,
but it's gotta have teeth. It's gotta have an automatic recount, otherwise it's a waste of time.
because basically what they're doing now, and like Larry pointed out this morning, is he mentioned all these places where the polls before, the exit polls, all said one thing, and the early polls and the exit polls pretty much were almost close to each other within a margin of error, and then all of a sudden there was a big blowout difference on what the machines came out with.
It's about having an independent supervision of the county clerks.
My argument is,
The system.
you got this report, you're not requiring anything to be done with those numbers.
Yeah, but that's really not.
You're expecting the candidates who have just spent everything they had and have no money left
To pay for their own
to
audit.
challenge it and pay for an audit, because that's what the law says happens. If the candidate challenges, they pay for it. And
And that's the reason it's there that way.
he's
But they don't
pointing
want it
out
to
these
be.
guys didn't do anything, and I'm like, Larry, who got any money left? And he brought up Stein
Stein, yeah, Jill, she raised $7 million, yeah.
in a week.
God bless Jill.
But
can
she was
raise
able to
$7
do
million.
that. Am I gonna raise $150,000 a week
You know,
to challenge
Yeah.
a
it's a
clerk?
real interesting academic discussion, but it means nothing to us right here in the here and now. It is a subject that maybe needs to be explored and studied.
What is?
But election day audits or the whole audit question. But what is it we need to be working on now and can be doing now?
Well, that's one of the
That's what,
5 bills.
this is
that's
exactly what we have to do right now, because we're at the beginning.
Gathering support.
We have to determine where do we want to be? What do we want to achieve?
What do we want to say? How do we get it there? And how do we get it to pass?
Because we
We're
know a 10% at every precinct sample would tell us whether or not the machines were hacked or not. That's, we know. But we know we can't afford that, and it'll never get through the legislature. So how can we come up with just as an effective method as that without that cost? And I think we're coming up with it through this discussion. If we did it at the collection points, we do the sampling, and all the rest of it is ancillary
Right.
to what we're trying to get done. If we can get that concept through to the legislators, we could say, don't do the 5% audit, do this audit election day, and if it raises a flag, that precinct, or whatever level that comes up at, gets counted by hand, period.
Now keep in mind, he
Because that
already
won't cost
had these
$100,000.
bills done in December before we were even around to even look at what the hell they were going to be submitted. We've been at this for 3 months now. We've got a chance to look over what the hell they're trying to get us to agree to here to help them support. And we can see why it's been 11 years of no traction on these bills, because they don't know what the hell they're writing. They don't know.
Because there's no teeth.
They don't know their audience. They're very book smart and very knowledgeable and can prove why we need it, but they don't know how
To implement,
to implement it and sell it.
yeah.
And that's what we have to come up with. Where do we want to be? So if that's what we want, then we should put that in some sort of a statement of what our goal is, a vision statement. This is our vision. We want to implement this. And write it. Quit, don't let them write it. We need to write the sample bill
Right.
and get one of the legislators to submit it.
Well, it's like I said, I've got conservative Republicans out of Winnebago that are agreeing with us.
Yeah.
I got Cook County agreeing with us. So I know we're not far off. They've just, they are fed up with trying to deal with the state IBIP because they're passing the same thing off every year after year and not willing to listen to anybody to say, hey, this is what really you want it to go. This is, you got to work with these other people. You got to work with the people that are going to do it. And I've talked to some of the state elected officials, and basically if we can't get the election judges and the clerks to back it, they're not gonna pass it.
Right. Oh, no, they'll have, how many counties?
I've already had 3 of them tell me this.
Right.
You know, so it's like, if you can't get the people that are gonna have to do this to say yes, even though they all agree there is a problem, they understand that we can be hacked, whether we're hooked up to a wireless network or the internet. They understand that these machines can be hacked at the memory level. When you bring in those memory cards, that's how it's happening. And we gotta be able to protect ourselves. They're understanding. Catherine asked me if I was gonna go to the test. And I said, why? It's a feel-good, bogus test. We all watched that video where they said the test will run fine. As soon as you switch these machines into live mode, that's when the worm kicks in. And then, after it runs its final report, it deletes itself, so you never even know it was there.
Yeah, you have to be catching it in real time.
That's why you gotta do it the day that's happening, you know, that day. Or within 20, I'd even go within 24 hours. So at least if somebody wants to challenge it, because like we have what, 102 counties, 6 different standalone election authorities. You got Chicago, Aurora, that all have their own election boards instead of using the clerks.
Yeah.
So I think it's 4 counties have election boards and 2 cities have their own election boards. And you got to get them all to agree. Like Cook County, yes, there's a lot of crap going on there. That would be one of the ones that you definitely know. Oh, where I was going with that is Cook County has their own rules. You have 3 days after the election to challenge. And how long do we get to the final report has to be posted?
It's a week.
2 weeks, 3 weeks? Okay. So before the final report is even out, Chicago is requiring that you challenge it before you can even see what the final numbers really are. So that's another reason why, at least within 24 hours of the election, we should have these audits done. You know.
Well, if we do them at the collection points,
See how that would
They
make
should be done.
sense. I mean, if things are being scanned in all day, you run your tape at night, you drop that off at the thing, you can have it in test mode. Send them all through. If those tapes don't match, audit. Done. I mean, that, it wouldn't add any really work to,
Well,
our
even
election judges are, you know, folks.
if you wait till the next day to do it.
Even the next
If
day, yeah.
it's all gonna be at the county
And how many
clerk's office.
employees do we have in the clerk's office?
I mean,
Every one of
everything,
them should be familiar with those machines.
because everything should be turned into the
17 for
clerk,
the
what, 24 hours
recorder
after, right?
and 14 for the clerk?
Yeah, so,
I mean, that seems realistic, you know, it's not anybody having to stay up all night scanning stuff
Right.
until they're cross-eyed. It wouldn't add a burden to the election judges and poll watchers.
And until we could, if we have to use these machines that the manufacturers are throwing down our throats on these touch screens with the barcodes, this is the only way, because we're going to be taking the count off what's written there. It's going to be a hand count. It's going to be a tally sheet, you know, with little hash marks. That was the other thing. Where did he say? The 2, oh, Milwaukee and Winnebago, or not Winnebago, Waukesha counties.
Yeah.
yeah.
All the other counties in Wisconsin did that recount up there, and they all had numbers change. Milwaukee and Waukesha just went ahead and did, instead of doing a manual count, they just ran them back through the machines, and miraculously, there was no changes to the numbers. You know, so that's why it's important you have to do an actual manual hand count of the sampling. You can't just run them back through the machines, because who the hell knows if, you know, when you put the memory card back in, the worm didn't you know, you got an infected memory card again. You know, and I've been told that, I've been in quality, like I said, and part of quality is calibrations, and we have masters that we know, we send out to be certified that this block is a 2-inch block, it's, you know, 1.999, whatever. And then we use that block to check our calipers, our mics, or whatever. So I'm like, why can't, at the end of the night, after you ran that tape, take a master set of ballots, throw them through the machine, run the tape again, you know what the master ballots say, you know how many are for Hillary, how many are for Trump, or whatever, and you do a quick subtraction between the brand new run and the old run, and you see if those numbers add up right to your masters. Oh, you can't do that. You can only run the report once, is what I've been told. I don't know.
Why couldn't you,
Well, you're an election judge
why
too.
couldn't you add, oh shoot, yeah, oh, never mind.
Is that
I was gonna say.
you run the report? You run the tape?
Being able to run a test report in the middle of the day.
You can.
Being able to would be awesome, is what I was thinking, because then you're catching it in real time. Send 10 ballots through, send 20 ballots through. What does it say? Does it come out right? And you keep going.
And just subtract those numbers at the end of the night. But no.
But
I'm
no,
saying,
well, you
wait,
need a tape though,
Yeah, you still need
to,
a tape.
right, that's why, that was the problem.
That would
Being
mean
able to,
you'd have to close the machine out, start all over again. So it's-
and maybe proposing just a change to the
Yeah,
manufacturer.
if you run that final report and the worm knows you're running that final report and it wipes itself out.
Yeah,
you
these,
take
Right.
those
these machines
ballots
can get
and run them.
hacked, and there's only one way to do it. All the tests in the middle of the day and all that,
That
they
just
can
opens it up
find.
to another one.
It still doesn't give you the paper backup where you get a comparison. You're still getting only a machine count, so if we do it at the collection centers and we take a sampling of the precincts, so you're not counting every precinct, you're doing 10%, give or take, of the precincts in order to come up with an adequate sample.
I don't
that
think
would-
we're gonna have a meeting of this audit committee between the different groups until after the election, and I don't think we'll have any
Well, it
news
seems that the election's
by
gonna
our
happen
next
week.
meeting. I think at best we'll have some sort of update from that group in May,
Okay.
okay? Do you wanna do your little quick thing on showing?
Oh, sure. All right, I'm gonna go through the basic stuff real quick here. YouTube.
Whenever we get a witness level.
No, I'm gonna start with just the basic simple shit first, and then we'll go for that. All these public meetings I'm recording, it's going up here. Miss something, rewatch it. Show your friends, you know, whatever you wanna do. Facebook. This is our main page, the public page.
Okay.
Anybody, of course, can see this one. This one is the paid group members only group.
Okay.
Our chapter.
Our chapter only, yeah, or if we're gonna let some state members in or whatever, you
I
know.
already
that's-
let Roy in.
Okay, so, but we're gonna keeping this to just us. Okay. All right, that's the agenda. I need that anywhere. Which one was it? Nope, that's not it. All right. I'm already logged in here. This is gonna show you how easy it is to fill out a witness slip for one of these after you've filled out all your information. I just picked a random bill. This one happens to be for the budget requests. If you go to the create witness slip, all my information already there.
Because you registered already.
This is why registering on the site saves so much time. And then you pick proponent, opponent, whichever way you want to do it. And then you would just hit record of appearance and then create slip.
Or if you are going to, you can click that and you can click the middle one.
Yeah.
If you're going to email or mail your own personal statement to the committee member or the head of that committee or your rep, you click the witness written statement file.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
If you hit that, you can then print it out?
No, because what would happen is if I hit create slip at that point, it should pop up with like a window and it should tell you, I believe if it's already a bill going to the floor, I believe it shows you your representatives, or if it's just in committee, it will show a list of the committee members.
Okay.
And then you can fill out whatever it is you wanted to type and then send it off.
But if you don't check the box.
It will not. You just do record of appearance. It just says, thank you,
So
have
if
a
you
nice
hit that,
day.
it opens a window where you can type a message.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if you want to see how these witness slips are going, you want to show them where the totals are.
Here, I'm going to show here real quick. When you get on here, if you haven't signed up, you have to go to a bill that is in committee or going to the floor in order to create a witness slip. Is the only way
Yes,
to be able to sign up. Why they don't have it on their main page? They used to. They don't anymore. Right, they don't want any more people get on the can. All you have to do is go to log on.
Oh, it was an oversight.
And then it says do not have account, so you're gonna, if you do not have an account, you go up to the top part here, and then hit here. And then this is where you fill in all your information. Whatever information you input here is what's gonna pop up when you decide to log in.
Okay.
So let's see, I'll just log in again.
Okay, so if you do the right-hand checkbox, does that mean you are going to be appearing before the legislature?
No.
No, that's just saying that you put the, here, hold on, I believe there was a box for that too. That I believe was under oral arguments. Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
selection
so
there for oral.
That means you will.
That means you're going to appear in person.
Okay, so what does record of appearance mean?
Just meaning that this is my, this is me opposing
Like you
it.
said.
This
Or
is
this
my-
is me
It
saying,
tallies-
go for it.
The word appearance is confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's what a witness slip is.
yeah. I mean,
It
it's,
means you voiced your opinion.
Okay, and then the written, you
Statement is that you're going to.
that's when you type in the
Yeah.
stuff and.
You
yeah.
type in up yours.
It's not just simply saying I'm opposed or in favor of.
Right.
No, that's about,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
But if, like-
you can enhance your message.
like if our bills actually we're going into a hearing. Okay, I could say I'm for it, but then I'm going to send an email to the board members or the committee members saying, I would like to also, I am for this as it stands, but I think it also needs to have this added or this subtracted from it. Otherwise, it's still good.
Yeah, well, and then you'd be checking the written part.
Yeah, I check the written and actually send an email to the committee member.
Whoever it is, a committee member, or your senator or whatever.
Now,
That's,
Yeah.
what happens to these once you've done this?
Okay, show them
well, here, let's see.
how it totals them up.
It's-
I mean, if you're making a written
If you
statement.
go back,
Is it
instead of
back?
clicking on, go back one. Instead of
There it is,
view
view.
witness slips. Wait, it's not the screen I was thinking.
Nope, there's only one,
There's only one
There's
there.
only one there.
That's
Oh,
oral.
okay, yeah,
One
so
proponent.
and he's going in for
it'll
testimony.
tell you the counts, like one proponent, 0 opponent, and you can click on those tabs and it'll show you who said what.
Okay, no, but who actually reads the comments that you're putting?
Hopefully.
Whoever they get sent to. Because, like I said, when you go, if you do just the
Probably
general,
Nobody.
If you just do like they did here,
Seriously, probably.
If you do that,
Nobody reads them.
then it's gonna go to his
People-
representative's office.
You can see what they.
That's saying that he's coming in and he wants to do,
yeah, so this one says they're coming in.
that comes in for an oral testimony.
Just tells-
Can we see what, is it possible to see if you check written
That's why
Okay, that
getting
middle
around
box,
is
It
gonna
doesn't
matter.
show you what
can
they've
you
written.
see what other people wrote?
That I don't know, because I haven't really, I
No,
haven't really
that's a
bothered
separate
anybody
email
wanting to
you're
look.
sending.
Say yourself.
I've gone in there and
I
done
thought
some
it
of
was
this,
part
but
of
I
this
haven't
whole,
gone
it
into
opened
that
up a box,
detail.
you
It
type it
just
in.
tells you who your reps
Yeah.
are or your committee members are. It
I
won't
believe
let
so.
you.
No, he's saying, we're saying on this list of opponents and proponents, does it show the written part that goes to either the rep or the committee member?
I don't think
is what
it,
he's
I
saying.
don't think
Committee
it
here?
could.
I don't think it could either, I would have to agree with that. Interesting.
No, so
Yeah.
like if I said, hey, everything's cool, but I think you need to add this, you won't be able to see that because I'm sending that in a separate email.
It's
Oh,
too bad
yeah,
you
yeah.
can't, they can't
Merge
put a
it.
way where they can show you whether it's actually been read by anybody there, you know?
No, because I believe
They
that
said
the pages and
Get the
stuff are the ones
totals.
that run these prints off, you know, like run them off and then they bring them to the offices or the
The committee.
committees or wherever they need to go.
Yeah,
But
the
you know what
committee
I'm
will get a
saying?
total that, hey, we.
No, yeah.
People to spend time to do it, they want to know at least that they're.
Because
being
if I remember-
read and
No,
heard.
these totals, you won't be able to do this unless there's a hearing set.
I understand that
So,
part, I get
When
that.
they come up and they say, hey,
I've been
how
on
many
here,
witness
so-
slips, are there any witness slips?
I
And
know,
they'll say 15 for, 30
right,
against.
just like it does right there.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, yeah, they're just gonna have it printed out saying,
Right, who it is,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah, the point of my question is, if I write an elaborate explanation of why I'm opposed to this bill or I'm in favor of this bill,
No one else could see it.
nobody else can, well, I want somebody to be, I want the
No,
legislator.
you're gonna send it
And I want the
in
committee.
a separate
whoever
email.
they send it to will be able to see
he's
it.
asking the same question I asked, how are you gonna know that somebody's actually read it, and
And in practice.
that's what he's
If-
asking.
In
How do you know
practice,
when
do
you
they read
send
it?
any email
Yeah,
to your reps?
it's a letter to your
Right.
congressmen, your senators.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be even
Where
seeing
do they
his face
send
first, I mean, you
postcard
know,
that you
his
send them,
Right.
a letter
his
you
lackey
send
Well, I
will
guess
read
that's
it,
the
saying,
point.
okay, this looks good, let's let him read it.
One of
And
his
then-
aides is probably gonna read it.
Well,
or
you know,
her.
I just wondered if, does this have a more elevated level of visibility
No.
than the standard, you know, when they open up your letter and
No,
they say,
it does, it's
for-
just about,
wait.
it's just as good as walking up to him
Against-
saying, I think you need to stop this. And he goes, okay, great, and then he turns around and walks away. That's,
It's the
this is,
same
it's the
effect.
same thing.
It's the
Yeah.
same, it's the same, but I think
But-
it's harder, I don't think most of the people in Illinois know to do this.
No.
Right.
So
Right.
if you do this, that part, they say, okay, this person has figured out how to get this message to us.
Mhm.
So they'll take that more, I think,
Seriously.
serious than,
Yeah, you're showing a level of political sophistication.
You just
that they've
didn't
been
get
like,
some-
okay,
Then
this
you can
person's
figure out their
involved.
website.
Right, yeah.
yeah.
Oh
This person
shit,
is
they know,
involved in.
shit, they know how to get a hold of me.
Yes, they figured out how to,
And they'll
yeah.
say, hey, we have to redo the website because people can figure this
Okay, I
out.
did not space it. I did send you guys all committee member
Yes.
names with their contact information and as many
Yeah.
emails as
Well, that's what I was
possible.
gonna show them here too. On the left panel here, you see home, house, senate, all that stuff. This is where all the real good stuff gets into place. Everybody listed by party and district, all your current members. And then here, of course, it's got your little view their biography or the committees and legislation that they've
Actually, if
offered
you
up.
click on their name, doesn't it take you to a, I don't know.
No, not on this page. It's only biography, the committees, and the legislation.
So if you go committees, pick a committee and then go
Yeah.
members.
Or you can go to committees and say you want to pick a specific one, or you know what you're looking for, like, this one's a good one to look up every once in a while. Counties and Townships Committee.
Can you click on that one?
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, you got a different screen than I did.
And then there you go. That's who's in charge of it all.
So then you hit the view member.
And Sam Yingling.
Yeah, do
Which
view
one?
member.
Sammy
Any
one?
of them. See, this SOB doesn't have, oh yeah, he does, I'm sorry. The Springfield office shows an email.
Yeah.
What's one of our Republican ones for us?
Well, is that what McSweeney's on?
I don't think this.
Dave McSweeney, he is the Republican spokesman for this committee.
Oh, no, he does have this. Oh,
And that's why we're getting so much trouble out of that.
the one that
Yeah.
went up against Mary.
Mahady?
No, Colonel.
Wilcox.
Wilcox, yeah.
All right.
Pull him up, because I know he.
No, I'm not gonna do this. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. So you can do this same thing for the Senate and the House right here. Same thing, committee hearings. If you want to see what's going on for the week, because you're gonna be down in Springfield, and you're gonna be bored, and you wanna sit in, there's a list. Now, the good one that you're probably gonna look for, where'd it go? The main page, ilga.gov. If you have the House bill number or the Senate bill number, it's just as easy to type it in here.
HB 2225.
Oops, forgot to. That'll pull up everything about that bill, where it's sitting and everything else.
You can see the last action right now, it's been assigned to the executive committee. They haven't had a reading, they haven't had a hearing on it. And then at the bottom is a list of.
This is every action for this bill.
Right.
So on 227, it was referred to the Rules Committee. On 219, they assigned it to the Executive Committee.
So what's
This
going
one
to happen
did have a
too,
first reading, but I
you
doubt it'll be
cannot
the
do
second.
a witness slip. I'll go to witness slips. And that's going to prove me a liar, right?
No.
No.
I'm at the witness slip part.
No witness slips.
Because it has been,
Yeah.
Has to be either in committee or going to the floor.
well,
So-
it's in the executive.
On
committee.
this screen, if there is a hearing set, it'll be up here. And then you would click on that. And then over here, there'll be a tab like this.
No, the
saying-
committee has to go through it first before,
Before it's set for hearing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
hearing.
Okay.
Once it's set for a hearing,
Once it's set for hearing, then
then we can do
You
Then
can
it.
you
do a
click on
witness
the
slip.
hearing time that they have there, and it'll be like a save as text file would be a create a witness slip
Yeah.
link.
Now, and then, of course, the full text version is something you might want to look into, because some of these, I mean, obviously, some of them get really long-winded. Some of them are literally 2 sentences.
Or, yeah, pull up HB 0195. That'll show them a short one.
Now, if you wanted to testify, you'd have to click off the
Oh,
thing.
that was the one I just closed out, wasn't
Is
it?
that how it works?
If you want to physically go down there and testify, yeah, you'd have to put oral.
Which one was it? Is it
Check
HB?
that
what?
off.
0195.
Does that mean you can do it, or do you still have to be?
I think
invited?
that means they'll look at you.
They'll get in touch with you to set up a time for you to testify.
So does everyone who clicks off oral have the opportunity to testify, or?
Not all the time,
No.
because again, it's up to the committee whether or not they want you, or will allow you to speak.
This one here is the bill.
Because if you have 10,000 people wanting to give oral arguments,
Yeah.
that's going to be kind of hard.
Could get out of control.
Now, the one guy that signed up for it, he's probably going to get in.
Yeah. So this is the one to make mail to every voter in the state for the 2020 primary only. Look how short it is. The actual text is what?
That's the summary, and then the bill is right here,
That's it.
Yeah.
which
It's
is
very general.
That's to do what?
That is the one that says that they're required to send a mail-in ballot to every voter in the state
for the primary of
for the
2020.
2020 primary only. The other one is HB 0257, which is the same damn thing, except it's for the 2020 primary and going on forever.
That's this one.
Neither one of which do you want.
Which is pretty much the same thing, except for this one's even shorter.
Restricted.
Yeah. It just says goes on forever.
So,
And as we said last month, these two bills, they don't explain what happens. It says that you can still vote on election day, but you've got a mail-in ballot, so do you have to show up with it? If you don't show up with it, what's gonna happen? Are you gonna go provisional?
I don't know how it got in.
You know, if you do show up with it, are they gonna
All this
take
shit
it,
from McHenry-County.
destroy it and make you vote
These guys are
again,
brain surgeons, you know.
there? Or are they gonna collect it and turn it into the clerk's office at the end of the day? There's none of that. And it says that the State Board of Election gets to make up all the rules. And our House and Senate people don't have to approve the rules after they come up with them.
So there's no way of knowing if you can mail in your ballot and go to the poll and vote twice, or?
No, according to Toller, if you have sent it in, when they do the little ebook, when you go in and they check you in,
Yeah.
they could see that, hey, you were sent a ballot. Oh, wait a minute, we received it back. It's a color coding thing.
Yeah, but if you send it in the same day that you're voting,
Then they'll know that
No.
you did it in person, because there's a code that,
okay.
when they check you in. And then when they go through the mail and say, hey, wait a minute, he's already voted in person, guess what's gonna happen to the one you sent in?
Evidence.
So voting in person would take priority over the mail-in
Uh-huh.
in that situation?
Yep.
And mail-in in the other? Okay.
Under the current rules.
Yeah, whichever one gets in first, really,
Yeah.
is what it comes down to.
That's under the current rules.
Yeah.
This bill, who the hell knows happens if it gets passed.
Well, that's my point with this one, yeah.
I have to get moving, so can we,
There was only, okay, one other thing here, under the public section was the annual state meeting where they will be electing officers. Right now, the only nominations have been from the state treasurer, and he wants to keep the 3 officers they have already. And then nominated Larry Quick and myself to be regular state board members, but not a chair or vice chair or treasurer or secretary. That leaves 2 more non-filled nominated positions. Our group, 16 of us can qualify. It's Missy and John Susan Labai, who paid, because you have to have, what was it, 60 days?
90
Or
days.
90 days?
right, it was only the last 3 that wouldn't qualify.
Yeah, the last 3, because they haven't been part of the group long enough.
Or if you join up now.
Right.
Can't get it.
Yeah, so between the time they've signed up and the May 8th, those people are not eligible
So they need
to
2 more.
be elected to a position.
So you're saying there's just 3 that aren't eligible?
Yeah, from our group. And then I believe there's a couple more that just signed up in Melissa's DuPage County that cannot.
You got 2 open spots.
And I'd like to see more, we got 19 members as opposed to out of the 34.
But how many open spots were you saying? 2 or
There's
3?
2 that have not had anybody nominated for it. So I'd like to have myself and 2 more on that ballot in May.
Yeah.
Because we are the biggest lion's share of the group, I think we should have some voting power, don't you, Kat?
Nominated for what? What are the positions?
They combine the treasurer and the secretary. Unlike us, we split those
Right.
out.
But they got a nominee for that, right?
They want to keep the 3
That they
main
got.
officers,
Right.
and then there's 4, like us, 4 regular board members, and there's only 2 that have been nominated for those 4 seats.
So they need 2 just regular board members,
2 more.
Right.
2 seat members.
So if anybody's interested, let me know and I will nominate you. I think we need to have better representation. Right now, honestly though, Melissa and Larry will vote together all the time. They're the hardcore ones. The other one, Roy and, I can't think of her name off the top of my head, are more liberal in their thinking, and another thing that I brought up today, and Larry Quick argued with me over it, is there is a part of the bills that say only where there's 50,000 or more votes. So it has to be an office that has 50,000 or more. Well, all of our district, 1 through 6, they ain't gonna get audited. These municipals and referendums, and I believe the referendums really need to be audited.
Yes.
Because they are mostly dealing with our money. They won't be audited.
Intergovernment structure.
Wait, so this
Right.
50,000 thing is on the
50,000.
auditing thing, doesn't kick in till it's a 50,000 district?
50,000
No.
voters for that
50,000
office.
voters for an office.
So countywide,
Or on a referendum? For 50,000 on a referendum?
well, yeah, so
Maybe
a
50,000
countywide
maybe.
referendum, yes. A countywide candidate, yes, because we got, what, 120,000 something registered voters in the county?
Supposedly.
Yeah, but it's a matter of how many turn out.
Supposedly.
So we're well over the 50,000 mark for like running for clerk again.
But if it's a city, village, or township,
There's no way there's 50,000 voters.
Yeah.
yeah,